Alright, hey there everybody. This is Coach Brandon here with Ant, and today we are going to be going over our next topic within the open guard chapter. Last week we looked at the idea of breaking a very specific kind of connection to us, the closed guard. We saw last week the main directive is to stand up, so your 2 feet get off your 2 knees when you're inside somebody's closed guard and break the guard open. Once you've successfully broken your opponent's guard open, your opponent's going to be interested in making points of connection to you. Ideally, they want to create 4 points of connection. What is this notion of connection? And on your back, if you would. When I break open Ant's guard, he wants to connect to me with here, just like so. Let's rotate. So here you see Ant has 4 points of connection, meaning he has connected with all 4 of his limbs into my body. He's got a connection with his right arm with this cuff, and a connection with his left arm with this cuff. A connection with his right leg with this foot in my bicep, and a connection with his left leg with this foot in my bicep. Ant can use these 4 points of connection to start taking me out of balance. He can take his feet up over his head and get me stepping in ways that are going to facilitate sweeping. My whole thing from here is always going to be to try to break those points of connection so I can pass. There's 2 really bad things that happen for me and good things that happen for Ant when he has these 4 points of connection. When Ant has 4 points of connection, he can stop me from passing his guard because I need to get an angle. From this position, with these connections, if I go to get an angle and walk around Ant's guard, watch what happens. I can't get an angle. Those points of connection just tie him to me and keep me right in front of him. So that's one important reason that we need to break these connections. The second important reason, which I already showed, and we'll show it again, is because Ant can use these connections to take me out of position, go ahead, in a position where now he can take a foot into my hip, and now he can start kicking me up and over, and going into strong sweeping actions. Thank you. So, for those 2 very, very important reasons, we always want to break our opponent's connections right away, as soon as we can, and then start the action of passing. Because his connections will keep him lined up with me, and I want to be able to misalign myself with him. So we break connections for that reason, and so I can maintain a strong stance and balance. When I go to pass guard, I, as much as possible, want to be in a good, strong stance where I can do good work from. If, however, my head is brought down below my hips, and my feet get overextended, and my hands get overextended. Now this is a very, very weak athletic position. I can't move very well from here, I can't do much. Not to mention I'm very vulnerable to attacks. So I want to, as much as possible, to be able to retain a strong sense of stance and balance in order to pass guard. My opponent wants to break my stance and balance and get me out of position so that I'm struggling just to stand my 2 feet, much less forget about trying to pass his guard. I'm doing everything I can just to not get swept, just to not get submitted. We don't want that. We can't tolerate that. So when I get caught in his points of connection, I need to break his points of connection so that I can misalign my body and get a pass, and so that I can maintain a strong sense of stance and balance, and he can't take me out of and break that stance and balance. We're going to go through a number of different common configurations that your opponent's going to put you in, some common forms of connection, and I'm going to teach you how to deal with those points of connection and break those points of connection. Now understand that this video is not comprehensive. I cannot give you every single possibility. I can't give you every possible way you might be tied up with your partner. There's too many possibilities. What I am going to do is I'm going to give you guys the most common ones and use that kind of as a launching point for your study. So you guys will know how to deal with the most common kinds of guards you're going to find yourselves in. And then in the future, when you come up against a guard that maybe you haven't learned specifically how to break those connections, hopefully you can use some of the lessons and concepts that you're going to learn today and find some of those solutions on your own. Okay, and develop your own style of passing, your own style of breaking connections. Let's get started. So the first kind of connection we're going to talk about breaking is spider guard. I'm going to put your head that way here. So oftentimes when I go to pass guard, my first thing is to come up and control his feet and his ankles. A lot of people will come up and they'll grab gi pants right away. I don't like to do this. I used to. I did this for many years. It's very common. People come up, they'll grab gi pants, and with the intention of grabbing and throwing the legs to the side and coming into a Toriano pass. But the reason I don't like this is when I grab this gi pants, it is so easy for Ant to reach my cuffs and pummel his feet into my biceps and stick me in spider guard. I hate being stuck in spider guard, and especially lasso guard. We'll talk more about that. So the best way to try to stop him from getting that initial connection, I think, is to go in and control his body directly. Don't control the body through the clothing. Control the body by grabbing him. So I come in and I grab the two ankles. Now when he tries to pummel into the spider, I try to keep those feet off my biceps. But flexible people will take their knees really close to their chest, and the hands are right by the ankles. So we need to learn how to deal with this anyway. Because now when I come up and I grab the ankles, he can grab my cuffs, pull my hands off, and now he has spider. So let's learn to deal with passing spider. I come in, I grab the ankles, he puts me in spider. Now, we saw when we were looking at the spider guard, there are 5 things Ant wants from here. Ant wants unsupported hands. My hand's dangling out here, so I have no sense of stability, so I have no base of support. I can't use his body to balance very well. He wants my 2 elbows separated, apart from each other. Why? He wants 1 long leg and 1 short leg. He wants me flat on his back, and he wants my feet up to the hip line by taking my, exactly. So I want my feet back here, and he wants to pull my feet up to the hip line, or now I can be dumped over the top. So those are the 5 things he wants. Unsupported hands, long leg, short leg, elbows separated, his back on the floor, and my feet to the hip line. What happens if we take all those things away? Just think about taking those away. First, I'm going to support my hands with gi grips. I'm going to get grips on the pants right here to give me a little bit more of a sense of stability, and so these grips will help me pass later. I'm going to try to walk away from the hip line. Let's rotate a little bit. I'm going to walk away from the hip line as I start to straighten my arms and bring my elbows together. And we'll look how Ant loses his ability to put his feet in my bicep. From here, with bent elbows, Ant has very good steps, almost like stirrups, platforms to step on. Watch what happens when I walk backwards and straighten my arms and bring my elbows together. Now he has nowhere to put his feet. He doesn't have anything to step on anymore. And now I can take his feet either down, and I can look to pass the guard here, or I can bring my hands underneath and take the feet up, and I can pass the guard here. So from here, again, I get my grips. I walk back and away from the hip line. He wants my feet on his hip line, so I bring my feet back and away from his hips. I bring my elbows together. Now I can either bring my hands on top of his legs and push his feet down, or I can bring my hands underneath his legs and push his legs up. And there's good passes for both. Let's look at down. So from here, everything comes down, pop, and I step off to the side. Let's rotate this side, I'm sorry. So from here, I come in, everything pops down, and then I engage in a little footwork. I step out with my left leg, and then I take a back step with my right to clear the feet, and so I get perpendicular to Ant. Now my right leg is going to take a second step right away, up toward and threatening the pocket of the hip. Here I'm going to try to drive my knee in front of his knee, getting inside position. Now the last one is my left foot takes a step up to the shoulder line, over the shoulder line for stability. Now right here he still has my cuffs, so this can be an issue. I, as much as possible, want to get my elbow inside his knees and get my elbow to the pocket of his hip. If he does nothing, I'm going to get my top position, come down, control the head, and score. If he releases my cuffs and frames, now I'm going to come inside the frames to take his frames out of the way and get chest to chest. I can either go inside from underneath like so, or I can go inside from over the top and then turn and tackle the hips. And now I have my shoulder into the pocket of his hip. So just because I brought my head and my feet up towards the head, my attention was still on getting tight to the pocket of each hip. the pocket of the left hip here to shut out the left knee, and the pocket of his right hip to shut out his right knee, and the pocket of the left hip to shut out the left knee. Okay, so one more time with that. And then I'll show you another option, or another thing that happens out there. So I get my grips, I walk back and away, I pop the feet out, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I settle in position. Okay, watch that footwork again. Feet pop out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I get in tight to the pocket of the hips. Another thing that Ant might try to do from here, if he keeps this cuff, he releases this cuff, he props up on the elbow, and he starts to stiff arm my arm across the body. Yes. Now when I go to control Ant's head and shoulders, I can't. He scoots out and away, and now he's recovered his guard. Okay, we got 90% of the way there, and we failed at the end. So here's how I deal with that. 2 cuffs. Spider. First, I walk back and away, and he pops out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're in. If he does that same thing nice and slow, up he's up. Now right here, as soon as this arm starts extending, remember that an extended limb is an exposed limb. So when he straightens, my other arm comes in, and I'm going to chop at the elbow just to help bend the arm, and my left hand is going to compress his hand toward his shoulder. Here. And now we can lock on a Kimura grip. Okay? He shoves us across, I chop and bend. I capture the wrist, and now I don't want him up on his elbow, I want to put him back down on his shoulder. So I just back up, and I pull him down into the hole, and now I have a Kimura. In the future, we're going to learn how to use the Kimura. The Kimura is a great tool. It's a strong submission in and of itself, where I can get a shoulder lock. But honestly, that's my least favorite way to use the Kimura. The Kimura is also a phenomenal transition to some of the best positions and other strongest submissions in the game. I could, for instance, take that. I could, for instance, step over and go into armbar actions, and then from the armbar I can always thread my feet through and go into triangles. So that Kimura grip is an incredibly strong grip to use. One more time from the top, and we'll move on to lasso. From here, grips, back and away, pop the feet off. 1, 2, 3, 4, inside. He goes to stiff arm, I chop, pull him back down, and now we're in the driver's seat. Okay, now we're going to look at another kind of variation on spider guard, learning to break those connections. Spider and lasso, learning to break a lasso hook. Now, spider is strong legs versus weak arms, so it can be frustrating, but the lasso was the bane of my existence for a long time. The lasso winds around my arm. It entangles and twists together my arm and his leg. Okay? So, when I'm in here and we go, let's say, start with spider initially, and now Andy's going to kick one leg through, I'll go up and around and dive his foot over my arm and into the armpit. And now look at this, okay? Let this grip go if you would. When I try to pass in either way, or I try to free my arm, this thing is locked into me super well. It's really hard to get away from this entanglement unless you know exactly what you're doing. Understand that the leg and the arm, the lasso, let go, again, twists, ravels his leg around my arm, spirals his leg around my arm, and we need to unravel, unwind that connection. Now I can unwind either my arm, or I can unwind his leg. You pick one or the other. I'm going to show unwinding with my arm first. I think that one's simpler. And then I'm going to show you guys unwinding the leg as well. So from spider, and he puts in the lasso. Now, to unwind my arm, it's going to be a matter of hand pummeling. Taking my hand and pummeling through like so. Okay? Keep the grip. Top. Like so. Now, you probably won't be able to free the grip right away, but we can at least nullify his lasso. His lasso is a lot less threatening now. Now, before we do that, that's going to be the start of everything. Starting to unwind the lasso by unwinding my arm, pummeling my hand from the inside to the outside. Change the angle. Okay. But before I do that, I'm first going to get a grip on the outside of the gi pants here, because it's going to help me later. I'm not actually using this yet, but the second I free the lasso, I'm going to use this grip to pass. So from here, I'm going to walk back and away so I can pummel my hand. Ant's going to be pulling my hand in, this hand here, pull, and it's going to be hard to pummel my hand free. But when I walk back and I pull my right elbow, pull in, strong arm, it's going to be hard for me to stop me from being able to pummel that hand entirely. And I place my hand right here. Now, this grip is pretty useless for Ant. So he might release it on his own, and the second he releases it, the very second he releases it, I go back to this grip over here, I take a step, I open my body this way, and I throw the leg by. And now we have that same stiff arm grip we just looked at before. We're now going to chop, compress, and we're right back into our Kimura grip. Okay, so again, we're unwinding the lasso by unwinding my arm first. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this grip again, not because it's going to help me get out of the lasso, but because it's going to help me pass the guard once the lasso's gone. So I get this grip. Now, I want to pull everything back and away so my hand can get free. If he's pulling in nice and strong, get strong pull with your left arm, man. It's hard. Keep that strong pull if you would. I'm going to walk back and away, pull my elbow back so I can pummel my hand around the corner and get right here. Now, we talked about he may release the grip on his own because this grip is not very effective anymore, but he might be stubborn with it too. If he's stubborn with it, I can put increasing pressure on his grip by just walking my hand up the leg and kind of pushing my hand into the leg and pulling my wrist away and getting this flexion in the wrist. If it's hurting your fingers, and you don't have to pull that super hard, you can let go easy earlier if you want. But I come here, I put my hand like so, and I'm going to kind of walk my hand up toward the knee, flex my wrist to break the grip. Okay. And then once again, the very millisecond that grip comes off, it's time to go into your pass. If you wait too long, he's going to recover. If he breaks the grip, and I sit here and dilly-dally, he's going to put in some other connection. Okay? So, lasso. So I go here, and now whether I forced his grip to break by walking, or whether he let it go on his own, the very second he releases, I step across with my right leg and I throw the leg by. Now from here, he's probably going to try to sit up on the elbow and stop me from coming down and controlling the head and shoulders. So right away, I'm going to chop at the elbow and drive his wrist to his shoulder. And I take my Kimura. Now a lot of times from there, get your grip again, fingers can get caught and twisted in here a little bit in ways that can be kind of difficult to let go. So in live training, a lot of times I'll get the grip, and then sometimes my partners will be like, oh, hold on, my fingers are kind of twisted. And I'll let my partner let the grip go just so I can take my grip, and I'll go here. And now his fingers are safe. They're not going to get twisted or mangled or broken or anything like that. Now he's still up on his elbow. The last thing to do is to break him back down to an unathletic position where he can't move from. So I'm just going to pull him back, and now he's back down, and now he's, once again, we're in the driver's seat. So that was the lasso where I unwind my hand, unwind my arm. Let's look at another lasso solution where rather than unwinding my arm, I unwind his leg. He puts in the lasso. Now, when he has my arms caught up like this, rather than, I don't want to fight the strength of his legs with my arms. My arms are weak compared to his legs. Now with these grips in here, if I make it a point to come in here and start trying to wrestle these legs out of position with my arms, they're not going to go anywhere. Learn to fight his legs with your own legs. Bring in your own larger, stronger limbs. So from this spider, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my left knee into the pocket, into the back of his knee, straight like right here, inside position, and I'm going to drive my knee into his knee, driving his knee down toward his shoulder. Tension comes out of the spider hook here. the foot doesn't have the same amount of tension, and now I can pummel my hand behind and pop his foot out. He still has the grip for now. I can easily strip the grip by driving my knee down and pulling that grip away if I need to, but you don't need to. Right now I'm just going to take a grip right here on the inside of the pants. Now on the lasso side, I want to get a grip right here. Now sometimes if he's extending this lasso a little bit, I can't get to the grip. So I need to come in with my right knee, and I'm going to drive forward the right side of my body to compress the lasso and get this lapel grip and anchor my hand. Now it's time to unwind the leg. And here's what we're going to do. He has a good strong hook in my armpit. I'm going to walk my body over his foot, over this foot. So I bring my feet back, I walk around, and as I walk, I drive my right shoulder down so that the foot comes out and it passes underneath my chest. Make a hook. Yep. I walk back. Let's go from an angle here. From here, I walk back. I drive my right shoulder down, and when I do that, it pushes his right foot low here. And as I do that, I also walk around the side so I get over his foot. So his foot is floating right in front of my chest. Now it's still in my way. I've got to get it out of the way now. To get it out of the way, I want to force his foot up to the ceiling. I'm going to do that by flaring my right elbow open. Okay. My right elbow flares open and drives into the back of his knee until the foot goes up. Now I drive my head inside the leg. I step across the body, so my right leg steps to the cross hamstring. I step over, and we're back in everyone's favorite passing position, the split squat, where my right knee is challenging the pocket of Ant's right hip, and my right elbow is challenging the pocket of his left hip. Now from here, I'm going to strip my grip and start to come through with head and underhook, head control and underhook, and take our pass. So again, unwinding the leg from the lasso. We're here. First thing we do is we fight the strength of his legs with our own legs. I can do this with a straight knee. I could also do this with a cross knee. Either one is fine. I pummel my hand in. If I need to, I can break the grip. You don't need to, but you can break it right away if you want. And get this grip right here. Next, I want to fix up a grip on the lapel. If I can get it right away, awesome. If his lasso's extended and I can't reach, I need to drive in and get that grip. Now I walk back and my right shoulder pushes his foot down. As I walk around to this side of the lasso, now his foot's in front of me. Now I flare my right elbow open. That foot goes up and out of my way. My head goes to the inside. Now I step back around, and we're back into our split squat. From here, he's going to be trying to elbow escape and frame, so I control the elbow to stop his elbow escape. Take his elbow out of position, and we come through and complete our guard pass. It's a lot of pressure, just a lot of details.
No, it's a lot of
pressure? Got your groin nice and loosened up? Excellent. All right, so we've seen spider guard, and we saw two ways to deal with spider lasso. So spider guard, I want to move myself back and away from the hip line and pop the feet out, either popping them down or popping them up. Then in the lasso, the leg is wound with my arm. So I need to either unwind my arm and throw by, or I need to unwind his leg by using this side-to-side movement and flaring the elbow like I just showed. Now, we're going to move on to another kind of guard, another kind of upper body entanglement, and that'll do it for all of our upper body entanglements. Collar cuff bicep guard, one of the strongest guards out there. A lot of people favor it, a lot of people use it. So when this happens, you're going to have to know how to deal with it. Let's take a look. So from spider guard, Ant's going to release one of the cuffs and go to a cross collar, and the other foot comes out of the, yep, exactly, just like so. Now, from collar cuff bicep guard, Ant wants my head down, my elbow forward, so he can go into submissions. Okay. I want the opposite. I want my head up. I want my elbow pulled back so my elbow doesn't go past his hip. I want my knee and my elbow together. If my elbow gets extended away, that's where all the submissions happen. If my elbow goes in front of his hip, the second my elbow goes in front of his hip, in front of his leg, that's where the triangles are there. That's where arm bars are there. So I want to pull my elbow back and connect my knee and my elbow together. Now from here, I want to be able to free my head. That's the first thing I want to free. Do you guys see a problem? This hand's controlled. This hand's controlled. I can't free my head. Okay? The easiest thing that's going to be the easiest thing to free right now is going to be my hand because it's not supported. There's no grip on it. It's just this foot and the bicep. And we're going to use the same concept of legs versus legs. Rather than trying to out-muscle his leg with my arm here, I'm going to bring in the strength of my leg to pummel to the inside. So we're here, legs versus legs, and we pummel. Now from here I'm going to get a grip on the collar. I'm going to use my elbow and my left knee, kind of getting the left side of my body inside Ant's right foot to get that foot stuck in the outside, get it off my hip. Now I just push this thing down and step over it, and lo and behold, we're right back in everyone's favorite passing position, the split squat. From here I control the pockets of the hips, I control the elbow to stop him from elbow escaping, and we come through past the guard. Collar cup bicep again. So this is a relatively easier method that I will use against people who are less skilled in the position. So I'm here. First thing, head up, looking up, and elbow retracted back to yourself, ideally with your elbow inside, not outside. Elbow inside. Now I want to free this arm, but I can't just out-muscle his leg, so I use the strength of my legs to bring my knee to the inside and bend his leg. If I need extra stability, I can actually grab the lapel right now. Grabbing the lapel here, keeping my left elbow back. Again, we take my knee inside his knee and we pummel just like so. Now I'm just going to step over this leg and bump this foot off my hip. And we're right back into our split squat. Control the elbow and finish. I'm going to show you guys another way to deal with the collar cuff bicep guard. And in this time, we're going to say my opponent is a little savvier and things are looking a little dicier now. I'm getting thrown around, I'm getting off balanced, I feel my head, my elbow being drawn forward, everything's going bad. So when this happens, I need to take another method, a more conservative approach. So I get caught, collar cuff bicep. Perfect. Now, I would like to be able to just bring this knee in, but every time I'm like leaning my weight and I feel Ant's like off balancing me, bringing, yes! And I feel like I can't get steady. I can't even stabilize my position here. He's doing such a good job. So when I see this kind of thing happening, we're gonna go into a knee drop. So from here, where my head is lower than my hips, I wanna get my head up again. But if he's doing such a good job pulling my head down, I can't get my head up, this is super dangerous. He can pull me into submissions. So I'm gonna drop my head, I'm gonna drop my hips, not my head, I'm gonna drop my hips so that my head becomes higher than my hips again. I'm gonna take my left knee inside my left elbow, and I'm going to take a drop step with my right leg down to my right knee. Here. And now I can frame using my knee against his thigh. So now when Ant goes to pull me into triangles, when he goes to pull me into arm bars, there's nothing there, okay? Now from here, from this good position, with my knee on the inside, once again, I'm going to pummel inside, get grips, one in the lapel, one in the pants. I'm going to stand, step over, and we're right back into our same split squat position. From here I can control the elbow, control the pockets of the hips, and then we're going to pass. So again, this time we're using a knee drop position. From here, when I knee drop, I need to make sure my left knee gets inside. I don't want to knee drop in a way where my knee is on the outside here. If my knee's on the outside, and pull. Yes, all sorts of danger. So I'm using my knee as a frame against his hamstring. So when I'm here, I want my knee inside my elbow, right here. And now he's going to pull me in, and I'm going to take that drop step in good posture. I lean my head and shoulders back and away. I push my knee forward, and I make a good strong posture here. Ant goes to pull me into triangles and arm bars. It's just not happening. Now from here, he's got this arm stretched out, right? I'm gonna pummel inside the leg. I get my grips, come back up and over, and we're back into our split squat position. Okay. Another option we have from there, from that knee drop. Once again, I get my grips, knee in the inside position, back knee drops as I can pummel my arms. I can pummel this arm underneath the leg. And now I can start to hike this leg up to my shoulder. And this is another very, very strong passive position from here, where I have my knee dominating inside his knee, my shoulder and head inside this knee, and I dominate the space between his knees. Now I have an option. I can pass either to my left or to my right. I can come in and pass this side. Or if I go and Ant starts framing and I can't get in this way, then I come back around this way. All right, so that's dealing with collar cuff bicep guard. We saw I can either remain standing and use my knee inside his knee from here, doing legs versus legs to pummel my arm free, or I can use a knee drop and frame, driving my front knee forward, pulling my head and my shoulders back to this good strong position here. Now I pummel to the inside position and we go back to our passive positions. So that's collar cuff bicep. That's going to do it for all the upper body entanglements so far. There will be some upper body grips going forward, but most of the entanglements on the upper body is gone. We've seen spider guard, we've seen spider lasso, we've seen collar cuff bicep. Let's start getting to the lower body. Let's go De La Riva. So a common form of De La Riva guard, oftentimes, people will take a grip on the ankle down here, just like Ant has here. He's got my ankle. And they'll have a cross collar grip, very common. Now, I never want to let my opponent control my head. Okay, here he can hold my head lower than his hips. He can pull my head over his head and go into kickover sweeps and get my weight on my hands and do all sorts of things. So from here, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go 2-on-1. I'm going to push his hand away from my collar as I also pull my collar away from his hand. So I do this and this at the same time to break the grip. Okay, now from here, we got that hand out of the way. Now it's time to do the De La Riva hook. I put my hand here, just below the knee. Okay, he makes a good strong hook. Push on the shin just below the knee. As I straighten my leg out, straighten my right leg, push, and I turn my knee and my shin to the outside. If my shin and knee point into and connect to his hamstring above the knee, he can hook. If I point my knee and my shin to his calf below the knee, and Ant puts in a De La Riva, nice and deep.